Good evening and welcome to One Take Live. I'm Monica May, and thank you so much for joining us. When we talk to you about things that happen in April, one of them every year that we have been really focused on is HIV. And tonight we're going to talk about HIV in teens. We have with us an expert, Dr. Andrea Dunn, who comes on often to just give us updates on what's really happening out there with statistics. And we really want to focus on those conversation starters about teen sexuality. So, Dr. Dre, how are you, my love?
Hi, Monica. I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me again. I love your show and I
Thank
absolutely love being here. So thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. When we talk about numbers in terms of teen and sexuality and teens and HIV awareness, the numbers steadily, they go up and they go down. And right now, I think we're looking at, maybe because of COVID, an increase in what's happening with teens sexuality. What do you think about that?
I think you're absolutely right. You're right on the money. Our youth right now are the most vulnerable population, I would say, to potentially contracting HIV. And the biggest or the highest age group would be the age of 13, as young as 13 up to 24 years of age. So it's extremely important. And with COVID, it's not a whole lot going on. People are home more, and there's a lot more opportunity with time and space with our busy bees. They have an opportunity to engage a little bit more.
You are so right about that. And I was just looking at some statistics, and they say that for syphilis, gonorrhea, chlamydia, they're the highest that they've been in 30 years. Now, that's saying
Yes.
something, and teen numbers are included in that. And you are absolutely right. The busy bees are at it. It used to be that the hours between 3 and 7 were the most dangerous ones. And that's why you had afternoon activities and boys and girls clubs, et cetera, et cetera.
Hmm.
But now you don't have, well, we're getting into more of a contact based environment, but for a long time it was very contactless. And so kids were dealing on their own throughout the day, doing virtual school, and then trying to keep themselves occupied for not wanting to go stir crazy. And so,
Yes.
what I wanted to talk about now is how old is, let's change that, how young is too young to begin talking about sex and about the different things that you can contract out there.
I always recommend the age group to be at least before puberty or around puberty. So for our boys and girls, I would say around 11 or 12, right around that time where the hormones are kicking in and they're starting to experience and feeling different things they've never felt before. And, right now our youth, they have access to cell phones. And so they can pretty much Google anything they want and it's going to come up. So, if you have a child and they have a phone, 9 times out of 10, I would say, like in middle school, that 11, 12-year-old range is the time, especially for our young girls, once they start menstruating and their body is able to start producing for having a baby, is the opportune time to talk about a lot of those things.
When we do Let's Spill the Tea, we give conversation starters. And a lot of times parents are just like, Monica, I can't do this. I really, I don't feel equipped to do it. And I keep telling them, you got it. You got this. How can we encourage them and just give them the fire to do it? Because if they don't do it, these kids, like you said, the internet and their friends, they're going to figure
Hmm.
this stuff out.
Yes, they will. So, honestly, for our parents, like you mentioned, we do. You have to start somewhere. But it's very hard for a lot of parents to have these tough conversations with their kids, whether it's, the mother, father, mother, daughter, mother, son, father, son situation, or even father, daughter. It's very hard. And parents don't want to face the fact that their child may one day engage in sexual activities. And so there's a myth that a lot of people feel that if you engage them in sexual education, that it's going to entice them or increase their desires or in curiosity to have sex. And actually, the literature shows the opposite. That
Mhm.
when our youth are properly educated, they actually make better choices and decisions when it is time for them to engage or whenever they do feel as if they are ready. And so it's very important for us to have these conversations. One of the best conversation starters is just asking your child, what do you know about HIV? And if one thing I will say that a lot of parents fear is because they may have not received that education and they didn't get it from their parents and they may not know how to do it with their children. And so that's one of the barriers that, I think with our collaboration, everything that we're doing is trying to break that barrier and overcome those fears and doubts, because in our households growing up, especially among people of color, sex is not a topic in the household, especially not with your parents. And so we have to overcome that fear. And so one of the biggest, easiest conversation starters is just asking them, what do they know about HIV? Or, just asking them. And then it's something that they can actually learn together, and actually pulling out a brochure. We hand out our brochures all the time. And it's actually been a great way. Even attending our events is a good way to just get the conversation going. And depending on what the topic is, a lot of the parents and the feedback that I've received is that it actually has helped open doors when they attend those events. And so either a commercial, showing a video, and to see what your child thinks about that. And it's an easy way to just open up the conversation. Our youth are so in love with social media and videos and things of that sort. So we have to tap into the things that they like to get their interest. And actually having those conversations will actually help build more confidence and trust. And your child may tell parents more than what they may be ready for. They may tell them more than what they're ready for, but at least you know that the comfort level is there, that they feel like they can trust you enough to have these conversations. And believe it or not, youth really want to learn from their parents. They learn everything else from us, growing up. And I feel like as parents, we teach our children, put a helmet on when you're riding a bike, wear a seatbelt when you're riding in the car. But when it comes to learning how to put on a condom before you have sex, it's, to me, I feel like they go hand in hand.
Yeah. One other way that I've heard a lot of parents use, I know I do a lot with music. So today's music, you may want to listen to with your kids. It's okay to listen to the popular radio stations that they're listening to, but ask them, do they know what they're talking about? And that can spark a way for you all to start a conversation. If you see something on television or on a movie and it raises an eyebrow, well, imagine what it's doing for them.
Exactly.
That can be used as a conversation starter. So what I'm getting you to do is spend more time with each other, and not just time in the car driving together. Having a conversation, turn on the radio and then turn it off and have a discussion. That's okay. And it's okay to be embarrassed as well, because you may be surprised how much they do know. And when they say some things to you, it's like, but don't let it register on your face, though. Try to keep that stone face that we're known for having.
Yes. Yes.
Still, so those are the kinds of things that we want to talk with Dr. Dre about tonight. Now, I know with Let's Be Hive, you have some workshops that are going on for young adults as well as teens and their moms and dads. So let's talk about that.
Yes, our sister to sister classes are amazing. So we have sister to sister for teens and sister to sister for women. And believe it or not, we've had couples attend together for our women's events. And so even with our teens, we've had fathers attend with their daughters. Good. Or, mothers attend with their daughters. And I actually had a few parents who have sons that want their sons to come too. So even though it's tailored towards women, we've actually held a sister to sister class for a basketball team in Sanford, a male's basketball team. So, it's very fitting for anyone, but our sister to sister classes are very, very in depth. We go through condom negotiation, proper condom placement, knowing how to put it on, how to dispose of it, and just the proper ways of protection as far as reducing your risk. So it's a health education class specifically for women and girls, but anyone is welcome to attend, and it's as young as to 13 and up. So our target population is at least 13 to 55 But any parent, any aunties, cousins, youth groups, anybody who would love to attend. We actually have 7 classes coming up within the next 2 months. So definitely follow us on social media and be on the lookout for those. And they'll most likely be in the evenings, and we will have opportunities where people can participate virtually, or they can attend here in our classroom. We're hopefully getting at least a minimum of maybe 6 to 10 people. So we'll have small live sessions, but if you want to join us virtually, you'll have the option to do that as well.
That is so cool. And you're located right here in the Kirkman area. So give us your address.
Yes, ma'am. It's 773 Kirkman Road, South Kirkman Road, Suite 120, and that's in Orlando, Florida. And our zip code is 32811.
When you started this whole journey of wanting to educate everyone on HIV, it was because of what? Where did you get this desire from?
Honestly, the biggest thing that a lot of people say is I didn't know. I didn't know. When I've seen people newly diagnosed, whether they're adults or youth, they just, I didn't know. I didn't know. And I think, education, or the lack of education, is one of the biggest consequences of what they say is why the spread of HIV continues. And so one of the things that we really wanted to harp on was fulfilling that gap and providing education and providing a resource, especially for people of color, because HIV affects us more than anything. And, when I had a patient who was 15 years old and was newly diagnosed and was a victim of sex trafficking. And, I tell this story all the time. I've just never, really forgotten about her. And I've just seen a lot of things on the other side of healthcare. And being a pediatric pharmacy specialist, I see the importance of why our children need to be involved in these conversations, so that way, as they continue to get older, it will transition with them as they become adults. And so it's very important. I always say, we know the saying, it's none of your beeswax, but with Let's Be Hive, it is their business. It is their beeswax. They do need to know what is going on and how to protect themselves at all costs. And so we have to break those barriers and open up those lines of communication. And, HIV is preventable. And if we just do the right things and help give people the confidence, then I think we can definitely see a difference. And so one of our mottos that I love to say is, early detection can save lives, but HIV education can too. And so we just have to really put more of an emphasis on educating our youth and our parents and all populations, because HIV doesn't discriminate. Even though our people of color are most affected, but we have to do more if we want to see a difference.
So this Mother's Day is the 9th, and the following Sunday we are back to doing our face-to-face Let's Spill the Tea. We'll do them at smaller numbers, and we're doing it outside in a much more intimate way. So May 16th is going to be our first one for this year, and then June 27th will be the father-daughter one. And Dr. Dre will be at both of them. She said she would come, and she's going to give some stats. And I would love for you to be able to share that piece on that 15-year-old, because it's really important that we understand and that parents understand that trafficking in our culture is very real. It is very real. And you see cases like this all the time.
Yes. Orlando is one of the top 3, if I'm not mistaken, cities for the highest rates of trafficking. And that's directly affecting our youth more than any population. And so it's right underneath our nose, and we just don't even realize it. But definitely, in the way trafficking happens now, it's very hard to tell, because they're allowing the youth to go home as opposed to trying to necessarily take them. So it's a lot, and I would love to share that. I love your teas. They're so good. And I think we definitely can help your attendees learn the importance of that, because it's important. It's right here under our nose, and we just have
to have discussions with it. And it's I'm not asking you to be your daughter's friend. That's not what I'm asking you to do. But I am asking you to open the door to have discussions. Let's break some generational curses that we've had afflicting our culture for generations. Mom didn't talk to us about sex. She certainly didn't talk to us about trafficking. But the fact that Dr. Dre says, you know what? They're allowing them to come home at night and they're not opening up their mouths. So this is a discussion that we need to have, and we will start that discussion May 16th when we do our first face-to-face Let's Spill the Tea. You'll find out more information on our website at Let's Spill the Tea. So I want to just say thank you once again to Dr. Dre. We always talk about testing, the importance of that. We wanted to mention also, we didn't get a chance to talk about our transgender population, but it is so important to keep them in our prayers and in our focus as well.
Yes.
So Dr. Dre, one last chance for you to say your address at 773 South Kirkman Road. What's your web information?
Our website is www.letsbeehive.org, and that's LETSBEEHIVE.org. And you can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter at the same handle at Let's Beehive.
All right, and that's for Let's Be HIV Educated. Dr. Andrea Dunn, thank you so much for always being willing to come on One Take Live. Thank you so much for watching tonight.
Thank you for having me.